Hey, Discern listeners, Love is Blind, UK. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. Don't use YouTube as a replacement for therapy. If you need a therapist, get one. You deserve it. Let's watch.
No, but I think I'm actually falling in love.
Oh my God, darling.
Am I happy for Demi? Yeah. I love Demi. So I'm going to step away from the situation because I want her to work with Ollie.
Oh, that's, well, yeah. It could have been a lot worse, right? Kat could have gone after Demi. Kat is also into Freddie, so she has a backup, and maybe she's just detecting that Ollie... It's interesting to think about, and it's happened before on the show, where you're Kat and you're into someone, you're into Ollie, and you're noticing that other people are coming back from dates with Ollie, and they got a big smile on their face, and they're talking about all the great feelings, and it could complicate things, obviously, jealousy, hurt, whatever. And it could also be a tragedy, because if Kat and Ollie were connecting and they were meant for each other, and Ollie is kind of into Demi and they're having a good time, Demi comes back, big smile on her face, she's over-interpreting, and then Kat could say, oh, maybe Ollie and Demi are really connecting, kind of looks that way, I should cut off from Ollie, or I need to protect myself from Ollie or something. You know, you could see that happening. But anyway, so Ollie and Demi have connected, and also Kat and Demi are particularly close, apparently. And that's another aspect of this that we don't necessarily, or at least I don't, because they don't focus on that, right? But the friendships that they develop in the different lounges are arguably much stronger and long-lasting. Like, I bet you if you took all the previous cast members and said, you know, regardless of romantic or friendship, tell me all of the people that you are still friends with, that you have a deep-ish or maybe a very deep relationship with. I'm guessing that the romantic relationships that are still in existence is a much shorter list than the friendships that you develop, because 10 days in essentially total quarantine from the internet and from friends and from work and from everything, you're just spending all your time together. And we've seen evidence of that before. So anyway, Kat and Demi, at least from the edit, seems like they're connecting. And then Kat and Demi. And it would make sense, right? That if you are friends, then you might be kind of into the same sort of person, and that person might be into both of you because you're friends, you're similar. Anyway, so Kat is interesting. So Kat is saying, I'm gonna step out and let Ollie and Demi go for it. Yeah. That's. But then you wonder if Kat has a hard time with competition, or has a hard time with being even considered, because there's no indication that Ollie is choosing Demi at this point. So maybe Kat needs to be number one by far, and anything other than that, I don't know. I'm just reading into it.
Regardless of Demi even being in the situation, me stepping away from Ollie, that would have happened regardless, because my heart is saying Freddie.
All right, so that could have been true. Also, you can imagine someone in Kat's shoes totally legitimately saying, and even believing this, now that this has happened, that, well, I always was into Freddie. Freddie was definitely my number one. Whereas before seeing Demi come back from a date with Ollie, Kat might have had Ollie number one, but now rewriting history, which is totally normal. We all do this. Your current partner, you might, like if you think about, let's say you have a current partner and you're totally in love and it's a good relationship. And when you think about all your previous relationships, you might think of those, it's common to think of those previous relationships as, well, I wasn't really in love, or those weren't as deep, or they weren't as meaningful, or they they were just immature things, or that was just a fling or something. Whereas if we actually take a time machine and go back to your you 10 years ago and ask you, are you really in love? Is it legit? You would say, yeah, this is real. This is legit. This is not puppy love, or this is not surface. This is absolutely real. But 10 years later, in your current relationship, we rewrite history to fit the way things feel and to fit the way that we want things to be, because there's no way to scientifically check on these things. So I wonder if Kat is doing that right now, which is fine. And maybe Kat and Freddie are more compatible. I'm trying to think. Well, the little bits that I saw, it seemed like Kat could have worked out just from the surface. She could have worked out with Freddie or Ollie, but we just have like a lot of surface stuff. There's some minor yellow flags with Kat that I don't know if I'm just looking for things, but Kat seems to have something going on with her. I can't tell if she is, what was her name from season 6? It was Jessica from season 6, the woman that liked, she liked Jimmy, but then Jimmy dumped Jessica in the pods, if you remember her, where she said, "You're gonna faint," or something when you see me. What did she say? I can't remember, but it was something like that. So for Jessica, I remember during the pods that I couldn't tell if she had relational traumas but had recovered from them and is a stronger person because of that, or if she has relational traumas and has not recovered or might not be very self-aware, and I'm picking up on. So I think I'm picking up on something with Kat. So I don't know if she's a Jessica or if she is, who else can, who can I throw in? Or I guess Chelsea. Is she a Chelsea or is she a Jessica from season 6? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But there seems to be some kind of energy from her that has that potential. So I guess if I'm right, that she has significant relational traumas, then when we did learn something about her, she said she was adopted, correct? Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. She said that she felt stigmatized, which is awful. But if she were to be adopted at birth or within the first 3 to 6 months of life, then research shows, and my own clinical experience has shown, that those adoptions don't carry with it the same attachment injury and disruption that post 6 months adoption will have. A common story for adoptions post 6 months is that the child was either in a family with a lot of drug addiction in the parents, and the parents did not have enough resources or time or energy to take care of the child and to attune to the child. So the child, say the child's adopted at 2 years, those 2 years were filled with abuse maybe, but at the very least neglect and non-emotional attunement, that sort of thing. But even in those situations, the child has zeroed in on at least one caregiver and has neurologically bonded with that person. And to have that severed, even though it's best for the child, that can cause the individual to develop a syndrome that can show a lot of effects throughout childhood and teenage life and through adult life. Not always, of course, but there can be a lot of profound changes, I would argue, neurologically, and there's some research to point in this direction. Sometimes, not always, this can result in an individual having a hard time with empathy, having a hard time with understanding how other people feel or think, because through that disruption, they turn off their needs to bond with other people as a protective measure, which you can imagine. And also, life has taught them that at any point, it can just be severed.
Yeah, it's been a confusing day, do you know what I mean? I think it's been a bit weird, bit like a motive. Yeah.
Where's your head at?
All over the place.
Cool. I'm going to make it easier for you.
Okay.
I just think you should go and explore the option with someone else.
All right, well, the rest of this episode will just be for members of the channel. So if you want to see this whole episode, become a member of this channel by clicking the join button below. There should also be a link in the description if the join button isn't visible. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.